أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والحمد لله الذي جعلنا من المتمسكين بولاية أمير المؤمنين والأئمة المعصومين عليهم السلام والحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين شفيع المذنبين حبيب إله العالمين بالقاسم المصطفى محمد صل على وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من يوم عداوتهم إلى يوم الدين أما بعد فقد قال الله عز وجل في كتابه الحكيم وهو أصدق القائلين إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا صل على محمد وآل محمد. Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Begin in the name of Allah, the most kind, the most merciful. It's due to that kindness and mercy that He gives us these opportunities where we gather in remembrance and glorification of Him, Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Then we send our condolences to our 12th and living Imam, Al-Hujja, Ajjalallahu Ta'ala, Farajahu Sharif. Allahumma salli ala wa Ali Muhammad, and to each and every one of you as we gather this evening to commemorate the Istishhad anniversary of our 9th Imam, Imam Al-Jawad, alayhi afdalus salatu wassalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gives us each an opportunity to go for the ziyarat of our Imam in Kazmiyah, and that we receive his shafaat in the hereafter, inshaAllah. Before we begin, I just want to touch upon just the fragileness of life. You know, just today one of our community members, Brother Onali Mauladina, Marhum Onali Mauladina, passed away today. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And likewise, we're also gathered for the passing away of Agha Muhammad Hassan Jawadi as well. Both community members who did a tremendous amount of work within the community and whose legacy will live on for a very long time. And I find it very unique, you know, that both of these great individuals, known for their selflessness, really, their generosity towards mankind, received their call back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the wafat of Imam Al-Jawad, the one who was open-handed and generous. And you know, I think that speaks volumes of the type of people that they were. And I have no doubt they will be greeted by our Imams today, inshaAllah. Let's remember them with Surah Al-Fatiha. As we do in, I would say, all of the commemorations or the celebrations that we have here of our great personalities, we begin with just some general data or information about their lives. And it's kind of cool today. We were at the mosque waiting for the janazah to come out, and a few members from our community were there. And they actually remembered this biodata of the Imam. And that was kind of very pleasing, to be quite honest, because we repeat this information all the time, not sure how much of it is retained. But the fact that it was retained was pretty nice, alhamdulillah, because I believe it is important for us to find a connection with the Imam, and it starts with knowing things about their lives. Our Imam alayhi salam, our 9th Imam alayhi salam, was born on the 10th of Rajab in the year 195 after Hijrah. And if you recall, in the year 200 after Hijrah, Ma'mun called, with quotations, the 8th Imam alayhi salam towards Khurasan. And so at the age of 5, when our 8th Imam left Medina to go towards Khurasan, he went for Hajj, And we had talked about this just very recently in the program of our 8th Imam alayhi salam. And that was the last time that our 9th Imam met his father at the age of 5 years old. And in the year 201 after Hijrah, the Imam reached Khurasan. They remained in communication through letters, which we have talked about before, and some of them. But in the year 203 after Hijrah, our 8th Imam was Shaheed. And at the age of 8 years old, our 9th Imam alayhi salam began his imamat, guiding and leading the ummah. This was the first of the imams who received his imamat at that very young, tender age of 8 years old. And he received his Shahadat on the year 220 after Hijrah, on the last day of Dhul Qa'dah, in the city of Kazimiyya, and he was 25 years old. So this was by far the shortest period of imamat of any of our imams, 25 years old, and it lasted for about 25 minus 8, 17 years. 17 years, that's how long the period of imamat lasted. What I want to talk about today is an episode in the history of the life of the Imam alayhi salam. So it's a little bit of a historical look or a lens towards what was happening at the time of the Imam alayhi salam. And we'll try to take a couple of lessons with that. The time for Salah is creeping very quickly towards us. After the martyrdom of the 8th Imam alayhi salam, the people were confused, right? And the confusion that was there had to do with the fact that now we have this child, 8 years old. You know, people's perceptions are different. People's lenses are different. And you found that there was dissent and confusion amongst the followers of the Imam, right? And so to clear up this matter, because the people don't have to appoint the Imam. We all recognize that, right? The Imam became the Imam as soon as the Shahadat of the 8th Imam alayhi salam. But the people's acceptance, the people giving their bay'ah, I guess you can say, towards the Imam. So it mattered for the people more so than it did for the Imam alayhi salam. But there was this confusion that took place. And so the leading ulama, the leading sahaba at the time of the 8th Imam alayhi salam, leading personalities, I guess you can say, takriban 80 of them, Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, Allahumma salli ala ali, Thaniyan ghafarallahu lakum, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So because of this confusion and because of this I guess turmoil you could imagine at the time, 80 of the leading personalities decided that they would, in a way, test the Imam. Yeah. Now, you know, I think like for some of us here, we're like, well, that sounds a little bit weird, right? For them to test the Imam, but I don't know, put yourself in their shoes, if you will, right? So they decided that this 8-year-old boy, if we can call it that, is now claiming to be the Imam. So 80 of the leading personalities wanted to discuss and verify the imamat of Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam. And so they thought that the best way to do so would be to test the knowledge of the Imam during the pilgrimage, during the Hajj season. And so they tested him. Now, I don't want to go into how they tested him. History doesn't give us that many details. But they tested him. And from these questions really that they posed towards the Imam, we find that these followers got divided into 3 different categories. The first category of people, or the first group of supporters, they denied the imamat of the 9th Imam based on their questioning. And it's not that he wasn't able to answer their questions. They got held up on the age of the Imam. They couldn't get past the fact that yes, he may be able to know these answers to these questions, but at the end of the day, alaykum salam, he's an 8-year-old child, right? And I think we can all, we can all appreciate that, I think. You know, I think today, younger looking ulama don't get the same level of respect as somebody maybe who is fully white bearded, for example. Right? It's just a mental block that people have regarding this particular issue. So they decided that no, that this ninth Imam can't be Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam, and so they supported the uncle of the eighth Imam alayhi salam, Ahmad bin Musa al-Kadhim alayhi salam, right? So this one group now gave their allegiance towards somebody else to be the Imam, because at the end of the day, right, these were not the awam. We're talking about followers. Yeah, we're talking about people who are Shia, right? Who were there, who believed in the imamat of the eighth Imam. They gave bay'ah to the eighth Imam, and these were the khawas, really. So it's amazing to me, right, that even in the khawas there was confusion. And I think there are some lessons in there for us, right? We always hear and talk about how when the Imam alayhi salam will come, there will be confusion, and then people in this room, like alaykum salam, they think that, oh, that won't be me. Right? And we're not even khawas. You know, we're not even the specially selected ones. The specially selected ones had issues with this. They were the ones confused. So we can imagine the level of confusion that will be there when our Imam alayhi salam comes. It requires, I think, a good grounding of iman to be able to be firm and accepting of what will come. So the first group said, no, he is not the Imam alayhi salam. And they followed Ahmad bin Musa al-Kadhim alayhi salam. Whereas the second group, including some pretty well-known companions like Ibrahim bin Saleh al-Anmati, joined the Waqifas. Now remember, the Waqifa were one of the last fringe groups within the Shia madhab. Right? The Shia madhab, as we know, is broken up within that sect. There are many different sects. Right? So there is the Aga Khanis, there's the Bohoras, and then you also have the Waqifis, the Zaydis. These are all part of what is known the Shia sect. We are Ithna Ashari, meaning the 12ers, right? But before that, there was another group is known as the Waqifis. The Waqifis believed that the 7th Imam alayhi salam was the Qa'im, was the Mahdi, right? And they stopped. This Waqifi means they're the people who stopped, right? At that Imam and claimed him to be the guide or the Imam who will come back. So one group gave the imamats to somebody else. Another group said, you know what, no, he can't be the Imam. So they joined the Waqifis. And so from these 80 people, and then imagine the spider web, I guess you can say, that these 80 people had within their networks would obviously dissent and would join different groups. But then there was the third group, and the rest of them concluded that Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam's knowledge was so exceptional that there is no doubt that he was the Imam of the time. And so from these people, you find that the support base of the Imam alayhi salam became solidified, and the Imam alayhi salam was able to carry out much of the work that he needed to do. And so part of the work that this group of people did, these were the followers, these were the wukala, the appointed trustees of the Imam alayhi salam to carry out the work. They began the propagation and tabligh in handling the imami affairs. And you know, part of the imami affairs that we're talking about is about making sure that the believers recognize that there is a chain of imams, and that there are prophetic traditions that say that the 12th Imam will come from the progeny of Aba Abdullah al-Husayn alayhi afdalu salatu wassalam. Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. And so what you find is that this group of people who accepted the imamat of Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam, they began spreading through the lands, really, working as agents to develop and carry out the legacy of the Imami creed, of the Imami belief. And this was really important, right? Because if the Imam alayhi salam, obviously he is the Imam, right? So the God's work would always carry out. But what's important, I think what's really important for us to recognize is that there always had to be companions. There always had to be people who accepted the Imam's imamat to go out and do the work. And I think this point we'll come back to in a little while. So you find that the Imam's agents spread through many different provinces throughout the Islamic empire, like in Ahwaz, Hamadan, Sistan, Bist, Basra, Wasit, Baghdad, and of course the traditional centers of Imami thought, which were Kufa and Qum. They spread out in these areas, carrying out the affairs of the Imam, and interestingly, some of them, with the permission of the Imam, even joined the Abbasid government. Right? So for example, you have people like Hussein bin Abdullah al-Nisapuri, who became the governor of Bist and Sistan. Hakam bin Alya al-Asadi became the governor of Bahrain. And these were Abbasid strongholds, Abbasid governments, but they became the governors of these provinces with the permission of the Imam. And in their job and in their work, they began to transfer the khums money that they collected from the Shia to the Imam, so that the work of the Imam alayhi salam could continue. Now, at this stage, the activities of the agents who were there were aimed towards propagating the Imami creed. Right? They were there towards guiding people and fulfilling the needs of the believers, and looking after their religious and financial affairs. Their work that they did not include trying to overthrow the Abbasid government. Right? Now this is all during the era of the 9th Imam. This is what I want us to kind of focus on, right? And obviously the Imam's hand is in all of this. Right? The permission of the Imam is in all of this, and this is under the age of 25. The Imam alayhi salam was able to really look after the affairs of the Shias worldwide at that time in that entire range. So they did not have a desire to overthrow the government. That's not what the Imams at that time felt was the right or necessary thing to do. But what you find was this task that they carried out, it wasn't as if it was not met by turmoil or resistance, right? So you find that in the year 210 after Hijrah, the people of Qum, even at that time, were predominantly Imami, right? In their thought and in their belief. They appealed to the Caliph at that time to reduce their kharaj. And their kharaj basically, it means their land tax. They said that, look, you reduce the land tax of the inhabitants of the city of Ray. We in Qum feel that this land tax that you are charging us is very high, so we would like you to reduce it. Now obviously, them being Imami and the government not being Imami, they refused the request of the people, and what you found then is that as a whole, the city of Qum basically stopped paying the land tax towards the government. Right? This, when you mess with people's money, that's when you have problems. And so what you found was then the government of Ma'mun dispatched 3 regiments into Qum and basically attacked and assaulted the citizens of Qum, causing bloodshed, and at the same time levying a tax upon them that was almost 3.5 times what they should have paid in the first place. And this would be considered a setback, right? The Imamis, in their attempts of propagation, in their attempts of doing the right thing, right? They were being oppressed by being charged an unreasonable amount of tax. And when it was refused, they revolted, because this is what we are taught to do. Yeah? That we will not succumb to humiliation, we will not succumb to oppression. This is the Imami way, right? This is what we stand for. We have shuhada in our blood, right? We have shuhada in our hearts. We can never forget that. We are created to be revolutionary, right? And sometimes that revolution can happen in different ways, but it's important that we rejuvenate that. That's why we remember Karbala every year, to restart that rejuvenation of that revolution within our hearts, to make sure that we bring about some type of change. So even though there was this amazing setback that happened in Qum, where people were killed, they were charged this huge amount, the work of the Wukala did not stop at that time. And you found that as long as the Imam alayhi salam was alive, the work of these Wukala, these representatives, continued. And until Mu'tasim took the life of our Imam alayhi salam, the work of the Wukala still continued with the different Imams. This is an episode during the life of the Imam, right? Now, what's the point of mentioning all that? Because we can take tremendous lessons from that episode and use it and apply it into our lives and what is happening with us today. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So the first point I think that is really important for us to appreciate is that the work of the wukala has a tremendous history in our faith. Yeah? The work of agents, people who carry out the Imam's work, has a tremendous history in our faith. It's not an arbitrary creation that came about. And today, the work of the wukala, the true representatives of our Imams, are our maraja. Yeah? They are the wukala of the Imams, right? And I think that it's really important that, especially in this day and age, now I know I'm speaking to the choir, as they say, right? I have no doubt that we're all people who respect and appreciate our maraja and what they do for us. But there's no doubt a wave or a movement within our 12er faith of discrediting the maraja, yeah? Of saying that we've become overly dependent, like a crutch that we use the maraja and it's preventing our own intellectual progression and thought. That's just ridiculous, right? We revere them, recognizing that they are the wukala of the Imam. They are the representatives of the Imam alayhi salam, and therefore there is a level of respect and reverence, I would say, that is necessary upon these great servants of our Imams alayhimus salam. But does that mean, right, that people always harp on this issue that, well, certain wukala are corrupt, they say. They hog money, you know. They buy things for themselves, and we want accountability with khums. And when we don't get that, we kind of cloud the whole institution of wukala. When, you know, corruption within wukala happened at the time of the Imams alayhimus salam as well, right? The wukala at the time of the Imams were not selected arbitrarily. They were selected by the Imams themselves, right? And yet you find, for example, when the Shahadat of the 7th Imam alayhi salam happens and when the 8th Imam begins his imamat, two prominent wukala refused to give hundreds of thousands of dinar of khums money to the Imam and kept it for themselves. Yeah? When the 7th Imam selected them as wukala, did he not know that they were going to do that? Of course they did. But I think that when you look at our history, like these 80 people who were there, some of them sided with different people. Just because, for example, you find someone who may have caused corruption, right? And I don't even think that it exists the way we think that it does exist. Not from the cream of the crop. Yeah? When I say the cream of the crop, you know, we're talking about people like Sayyid Sistani, you know, people like Sayyid Khamenei, people like Sheikh Ishaq Fayyad. From these cream of the crop, when we see that their wukala may have been misappropriating something, it would be like us saying that, look, the Imam selected him, he caused corruption, I'm putting doubt into imamat. When I put doubt into marja'iyah, I am putting aside all the work that they've ever done and clouding this entire institution that has a tremendous history in our faith. So I think that one of the points that I think is really important for us to appreciate and for us to understand is that we need our maraja to continue this legacy that was started by our Imams, and in particular that was beautifully conducted by our 9th Imam alayhi salam. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Salli ala. So that's the first point, right? Appreciation for our maraja. And I think that we have to rekindle that feeling of appreciation and praying for their well-being. The second point I think that is also really interesting is that even though the Imam alayhi salam was in one locality, right? The Imam alayhi salam was in Medina until he was summoned into Baghdad. But even though he was in one locality, the work of the Imam alayhi salam was happening everywhere, right? And again, that's I think really awesome to think about, because even today, another criticism that we have of our maraja, or that people have of our maraja, is that how can someone in Najaf know what's happening in Toronto, right? It's it's silly for us to have these type of thoughts, right? It's silly for us to think that there are no representations who give back to them news and khabar of what's happening, right? That someone living there has no idea of the challenges that we face here today. It's like saying, now I know that I'm not saying that they're imams, right? I'm not. But an imam's representative is the closest thing we have to an imam. You follow what I'm saying? Right? There's a big traffic jam in the back. Can we just all move up a little bit? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. And so you see, right, that even today, it's that same legacy that has continued, that has made us so successful. If we were to cut ourselves off from the institution of wukala, the institution of marja'iyya, I think we would be in serious, serious difficulty, right? That is that rope, that hablullah that we are talking about, that connects us to the imams and the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. And so it's important that, as we see in the workings of the imam, that being in one locality doesn't mean that the work around cannot be completed, right? And the same institution we see today, that though they may be in Najaf, though they may be in Qom, though they may be in one place, the work of the Maraja carries out and gets completed throughout the world. The third point of interest regarding this particular story is that in today's era of ghaiba, there may be people who have been selected formally to be the wukala, but each and every one of us have the responsibility of being the agents of the imam. Yeah? Just the way here, you had people who carried out the work of the imam alayhimus salam, right? And the imam knew who they were. The imams knew who they were. I feel today, if we make an intention that I am going to work as a wakil of the imam, right? I'm going to work as an agent of the imam, our imams would know us personally as well. Yeah? Our imam would have that connection. We're all waiting for a way to connect with the imam, but we've never really said that, you know what, I'm going to go out and do the imam's work, right? Formally. And it's one thing to say I'm going to do the imam's work, but it's something else to do the imam's work, right? And I think this is where we need to gather these lessons from what these previous wukala did, especially at the time of our 9th Imam alayhi salam. They had two primary responsibilities. The first responsibility that they had was to propagate the religion of Islam, right? And the second, or to propagate the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. That was their first responsibility. And their second responsibility was to financially look after the needs of the believers, right? And those who were needy. And I think that if we take these two responsibilities and apply it into our lives, we too can work as the wakil of the imam, as the wukala of the imam, right? The work of propagating the teachings of Islam is not just left to religious scholars who we feel that they have to go do the tabligh. We're all muballighin, right? We all have this responsibility. The way I conduct myself, the way I deal with people, the way I present myself to the wider community and the wider public, we are all flag bearers of Islam, right? It's sad sometimes when you have people with the names like Muhammad and you have the names like Ali, and you find that their conduct is completely opposite than those who carry out those names, right? So we all have this first responsibility of being these wukala of the Imams alayhimus salam in our conduct and in our ability to financially assist people, whatever those people are. I have a firm belief, and this is something that we learn from the Imams alayhimus salam. We become so bureaucratic, and money is like a sensitive thing. Money breaks so many relationships, because people can be best of friends, but when it comes to money, we've seen so many things that are not pleasant to look at, But we have to have, try our best. It's one thing that there are people who beg at our mosques and then we find it difficulty that are they telling the truth or are they lying. But if someone comes up to you and says, look, I'm in need, we got to follow the seerah of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. The seerah of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam never looked at them and say, okay, prove to me you're in need. Yeah? What are your bank balances? Show me your bank balances. The Imams never said that. Yeah? The Imam never liked to look at the ledger to see what kind of business. If someone actually is I don't want to say humiliating themselves, is lowering themselves. Because to ask someone, especially for money, is not easy, right? But if someone is lowering themselves, when we put that type of pressure and that type of questioning, we're now humiliating them. We're the ones humiliating them, And the seerah of the Prophet and the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam never did such a thing. When someone came, they gave. I'm sure if they came back again, I doubt that they would, because they always gave enough the first time, But if someone came back again, maybe there would be some questioning. But now we've never seen that case, or I've never seen that case. So we have these two responsibilities of how we can be the wukala of the Imam. And I think the fourth point that I take from this particular story as well is that in being the wukala of the Imams, it doesn't mean that we will not be faced with challenges. Right? You look at the people in Qom who are being the representatives of the Imam, they were attacked for their love of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Yeah? They were killed because of their love for the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. And they were taxed, financially bankrupted because of their love for the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. And so I think that when we look at that in our lives, right? Think about that yes, I'm gonna say that I want to be the wakil of the Imam, and I'm gonna go out and do the work of the Imam. And I think that as soon as we make that intention, we're gonna be hit by test after test after test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To try to gauge whether I am those people who continue the work of the Imam after I have been tested the way that I have been tested. These are four simple points that I think are really important, that we capture them from the legacy of the Imam alayhimus salam's life, about the importance of trusting and appreciating our maraja today, our wakil, our wukala today, about recognizing that we all have this responsibility to work for the Imam alayhi salam, and in that work we're going to be tested, we're going to be challenged, but it's important that we rise above that challenge to continue the work of our Imam. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And so we have this amazing example, right? And I think that we have to analyze history this way. Episodes that we say that may not have to do with the Imam, yet there are so many lessons that we can take about the work that our Imams did. And the Imams did these type of works. And it is these type of works that the Imam alayhimus salam did that earned them the love of the people, right? If you think about it, one of the things that we talked about from this historical perspective or this historical lens was that these wukala never threatened the Abbasid government. They never threatened them. They never tried to revolt against them. Then why were the Abbasids so bent on tearing down the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam? Because the mere presence of the Ahlul Bayt made people fall in love with the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Yeah? The way they conducted themselves made people fall in love with the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. And it is this love that the Abbasids could not handle when it came to the Imam. And so after the death of Ma'mun, the Mal'un Mu'tasim ascended the throne. And in the year 219 after Hijrah, he called the Imam towards Baghdad. And in the year 220, in the month of Dhul Qa'dah, he sent poisoned grapes to the house of the Imam. And the Imam alayhi salam was fed this by his wife Fadl. It's reported, my brothers and sisters, that on the day when the Imam alayhi salam was poisoned, the Imam was fasting. And when he came to sit for his iftar, the Mal'una put these poisoned grapes in front of him. فَلَمَّا تَنَاوَلَ مِنْهُ شَيْئًا تَغَيَّرَ حَالَهُ. It says, as soon as the Imam alayhi salam had a few grapes, immediately he began to change in his position. ثم أخذ إمامنا يتقلب على الأرض يمينا وشمالا. The Imam tried to lie down and due to the pain, turned from one side to the other. It is said the Imam alayhi salam said to his wife, "You have done what you have done, but now I ask that you please provide me some water, for I am so thirsty." Mu'mineen, it is said the Imam died in the state of thirst. Wa Husayna, wa Mazluma. When I hear of the thirst of Imam al-Jawad, my heart goes to Karbala, and in particular today my heart goes to Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas alayhi salam. You know, we think when we look at those who are thirsty in Karbala, we think of Sakina, we think of Aliyun al-Asghar, but we forget the thirst of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas alayhi salam. It is said when Abbas went towards the river Furat, and when he came down from his horse, he cupped with him a handful of water, and he said to himself, "Ya nafsim min ba'dil Husayn huni." He says, "Oh nafs, you want to drink this water, but after you Hussein will be all alone." Abbas threw that water back and began to march back towards Imam. It is said when the enemies surrounded him, they cut off his right arm. Abbas did not say anything. He said, "My goal is the khayma. I need to get this water to the khayma." He kept going, and then his left hand was cut. At this time he managed to secure the water skin. He continued to go until they began to shower arrows on Abu al-Fadl. When one of these arrows pierced his watering skin, the Imam alayhi salam, now like the water spilled, his spirit spilled out, and he did not want to proceed without what he had promised. فَسَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا أَيَّ مُنْقَلَبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ وَالْعَاقِبَةُ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. Matam Hussein.